Hey everybody, I hope you are tracking with me. I hope you are working on some of this stuff on a daily or maybe not daily basis. You're at least sprinkling in some of these throughout your week, and I hope your body is feeling different. Or if you're not seeing changes, maybe you're at least having awareness of where your tight spots are, where your weaknesses are, where your imbalances are, and you're better equipped to kind of work with your own body to do movement and life a little bit more effortlessly. So today what I want to talk with you about is your upper body alignment. So a lot of us are cued with the verbiage of draw your shoulders down and back. Okay, so if I did that in the side profile, it kind of looks like this. All right, now I like 10 years ago I was in a chiropractic office and the chiropractor said do your shoulders down and back. So for like a week, I did that continually, shoulders down and back, every time I could remember. I go into the chiropractic appointment, I'm like, I'm miserable. I said, my neck hurts so bad. I was getting TMJ, and he's like, let me see how you do shoulders down and back. And so I was like, this. He's like, no. He's like, you're doing it way too much. You're going from one extreme, which is shoulders rounded forward, to the totally opposite line of thinking and moving your body. And so he's like, no, it's not that aggressive down and back, which you think. It's very subtle. And over the years, I've found a different way I love to describe shoulders down and back because so many people do get confused and they do what I do, shoulders down and back, and they excessively pull them back. So I've actually stopped cueing the shoulders and I've started cueing the sternum. So when you think of alignment of the upper torso, what I want you to do is to lift your sternum up slightly. So hopefully you saw that is when I lift my sternum up, my shoulders automatically go down and back. But I'm not lifting my sternum up so much that I'm thrusting my ribs forward, because if I were to move my lower ribs forward, it sways out my back. So my lower ribs stay in contact, and all I do is I'm going to lift my sternum slightly. When I create that lift, the shoulders automatically go down and back. So what does that concept mean now when we get into exercises, into some stretches? Well, that's what I'm going to talk with you about today. So one of the typical stretches that we're told and we're showed a lot is the one where we interlock our hands behind our back. Okay, and we're told to reach our knuckles down to the floor. A lot of times when people do this stretch and they reach their knuckles down to the floor, they jaunt their ribs forward. Because when I do that, it looks like I can get into the pose a lot more deeply. Okay, but for one, you're missing your alignment of your torso. So you want to keep your ribs in alignment with the body as you reach the knuckles down. Now, once you've got that, you got to address the shoulder issue. And a lot of times we were directed, okay, pinch the shoulder blades together. Okay, keep the ribs in alignment, reach the knuckles down towards the floor. Okay, what looks something like that. Now, when I particularly in my own body do that stretch, I feel nothing. I don't feel any stretches. It doesn't open the front side of my body, which many years ago I was really confused by that because I have such tight shoulders. I sit naturally rounded forward because these muscles have shortened for so much of just not being conscious of the fact that I was in this position most of my life, caring for my children, typing on the computer, those kinds of things. And so I've been experimenting with my own body of not worrying so much about the shoulder blades coming together, thinking about the sternum. So if you want to do this with me, interlock your hands behind you, ribs stay in alignment with the body. Now, instead of pulling your shoulders down and back, keep your shoulders right where they're at. Don't even think about moving the shoulder blades. Lift the sternum. Bring the ears back over your shoulders, and now reach the knuckles towards the floor. Breathe. Now this is a stretch. This is hard for me. I can feel that all the way up into the front side of my body. It's totally different for me being here than being here. Okay, my shoulders are still, they look like they're rounded forward, but what's happening is I'm keeping my shoulder blades in the correct alignment on the back side of my body instead of moving my shoulder blades excessively back. My body, in particular, is kind of messed up in the shoulders. How that is I'm super hypermobile in my shoulders. So my shoulder blades kind of go wherever they want to do. And what happens is because of that, I bypass a lot of my stretches, which is what was happening in this. My shoulder mobility is too excessive, and so I would bypass the actual stretch by pulling my shoulder blades back. So keeping them forward to me, lifting the sternum, actually gets the stretch for me. Totally changed my practice. Now, another one is where we take eagle arms, so one arm behind your head, other hand behind your back. Now, I'm just going to talk about the arm behind my head for a moment. Again, this is one of those where I was cued over and over, shoulders down and back. So what that kind of looks like, let me turn this way, so when I do shoulders down and back, again, I would excessively jaunt my ribs forward, so I got to keep my ribs in alignment and pull that shoulder down and back. Now, I can feel a stretch here. Like, don't get me wrong, I can feel a stretch. But now I'm going to kind of go out of that thinking of pulling the shoulder blade back, but keeping the shoulder blade kind of right where it is. Okay, keeping the shoulder blade forward just a little bit. I'm going to use kind of my other hand to kind of feel if the shoulder is a chicken wing. So if you ever see that sometimes on people, you'll see like they'll pull the shoulder blade excessively back and it creates a chicken wing a little bit. So I'm trying not to do that. I'm going to try to keep my shoulder forward a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift my sternum, and then I'm just going to elevate the elbow slightly. Now, this is a deep stretch for me. I feel it much more into my shoulders than I did if let's say I would slide the shoulder blade back. Okay? I don't feel it as much. But if I keep the shoulder blade forward just a little bit, and I bring the elbow back a little bit, ribs stay in alignment, head comes back, it is now a deep and intense stretch for me to do that. So I want you to play with it in your own body. If you have been really struggling with shoulder tension on the front side of your body, top side of your shoulder, if you've been struggling with neck tension or TMJ, maybe it's because you're like me and you have hypermobile shoulders. Maybe your shoulder blades just kind of slide all over the place and you need to work on strengthening the rhomboids and the muscles that attach to the shoulder blade. And then when you get into some of these stretches, you need to stop practicing the cueing of shoulders down and back, but just kind of keeping the shoulders right where they're at and lifting the sternum instead. So play with it. I would love to know how this works with you. And for some of you, it might not work for you at all. And others of you, this might be an aha moment for you. And I hope that is the case.